Guys, if we aren't thinking that we're a big deal and that our work changes fucking lives, what the hell are we even doing? How do we even expect others to believe that we're the shit if we don't believe we're the shit?
You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in.
Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the pod. Have you applied to work with me yet in private coaching? I would love to work with you, and I'd love to get started before the end of the year, because why would you wait to feel good enough? Why would you wait to clear the limiting beliefs, the stories, the past experiences that are getting in the way of achieving what you want to achieve? One of my clients, she is a self-love and relationship coach, and she's actually launching right now as we speak, and she's charging more than she ever has before for this group program. And when she signed that first person into her group, it was a celebration of so much more than just signing a client. She did the work to believe in that price, to believe she was worthy of being paid that amount, and to sell from a place of service and confidence. And this is after taking an entire month off. Guys, this is all from doing the inner work that we do in private coaching, in looking at her thoughts and beliefs about herself, clearing the bullshit that was in her way, and really grounding into her enoughness and her worth. Everything else is easy peasy strategy. So, are you in? At the link in my bio, you can purchase a spot for my 2-session intensives, or you can apply to work with me in private coaching. So today I wanted to talk about celebrating. And at first glance, you might be like, Jill, okay, yeah, celebrating is great and all, but what about actually accomplishing the things that I want to fucking do? And I invite you to consider and open your brain up to the fact that celebrating yourself and all your wins, no matter how big or small, is actually a key ingredient in creating the success that you want. Years ago, I honestly would have rolled my eyes at this, and that's because to the person who feels like an imposter, they've created subconscious patterns and programming of not enough. So how this translates to celebrating is feeling like any win, any accomplishment, any whatever isn't enough. There is build up to an accomplishment, and then once it's done, there is no recognition. You just move on to the next thing. There is no grounding into what you've accomplished, no recognition of the hard work, and therefore no emotional association to the accomplishment. This is why you have people who have achieved so fucking much amazingness in their lives. Basically, every single one of my clients has so many accomplishments, so many things to be proud of, and they sit there and say, I don't feel good enough. And it's why you have so many things under your belt, like experience, degrees, accolades, trainings you've invested in, and it still doesn't feel like enough. You still don't feel like enough. And that's because not enough is a program that you have just developed and indulged in. It is not the truth. It is just the lens through which you see everything, from what you've accomplished to your worthiness. I am somebody who has gotten totally caught up in this cycle of working, achieving the thing, and then moving on in my life. Like, that is basically my entire life, right? I was going through school, and then I'd overlap school with jobs and certifications and accomplishments, to early in my coaching career, always getting the next certification and the next training, still wondering why I didn't feel enough. And it was because I didn't slow myself down to the point of actually recognizing everything I was accomplishing, and therefore categorized everything, no matter how big or small, as no big deal. Like, y'all, I wrote a book. A motherfucking book. I wrote a book. This was a lifelong dream of mine, and my not enough programming kicked in for a moment when it was published. My brain wanted to move on. It wanted to be like, okay, what's next? When are you starting the next book? I had to slow down, recognize myself, throw a little celebration like going out for supper with Dustin, and I let the compliments sink in when I received them and when people were sharing their pictures, even weeks and months later, whenever somebody shares it, like I really ground into somebody is reading my words in an actual book that I wrote. And again, like I let those compliments sink in. I didn't try to change the subject, which I used to do before when I was uncomfortable with success and uncomfortable with being recognized. And my whole journey as a coach has really been me grounding into receiving, expanding my capacity to receive, right? Like even when a client reaches out and they are so happy with something, or when I get a feedback form and the client is so fucking jazzed about the work that we've been doing and the results that she's getting, and I still have to be like, okay, don't move on. Let's write this down somewhere in your accomplishment journal. Let's do a little voice note to ourselves and say how proud we are of ourselves for this result, right? Like I've had to learn how to ground in and expand my capacity for receiving. So much of this programming of not enough is done somatically, right? Which means in the body. So did you know that the brain and the body consciously recall memories based on emotion? So like when you hear a song that makes you nostalgic for a time in your life, it's because your body remembers how you felt. Emotion is so strong. There's actually a technique in NLP called anchoring, and it's when you purposely anchor in a positive emotion to your body, specifically on your knuckles or your shoulder is something that I've seen. And this works so well because your body and brain are more apt to remember things when there is a significant emotion attached to an experience. Now, this goes both ways, right? Good or bad. Trauma is what happens when our body is surprised by an event and it causes an urgent emotional response. That's why trauma can be big T or little t. It's not so much the experience that makes up the trauma, but more so how it physically and emotionally affected the person experiencing the event. So when I think about people who are neurodivergent, like even myself, I experience a lot of rejection sensitivity dysphoria. I have emotional ups and downs. Like my emotional scale is going to look different than somebody who's neurotypical. So a lot of things in my childhood around my stutter and being rejected and stuff, that to me, even though it wasn't big T, it felt like big T to me, right? So that's why I had a lot of trauma to work through when it came to my stutter because of the way that my brain is. So again, trauma is not categorized by the actual experience, right? Anything can be traumatic. It really depends on the person experiencing the trauma. So if we are looking at the fact that emotion can anchor into our bodies and make us recall the experience more often, this is why we need to celebrate ourselves more. It's why we need to purposely ground into feelings of achievement, worthiness, enoughness, pride in ourselves, and more good feelings. And I say on purpose because if you struggle with imposter syndrome, you probably have a belief somewhere in your subconscious that you don't deserve to feel good. So in reprogramming the brain for success, the allowance of good feeling emotions is so critical. We are also marking our lives by moments. That's how we recall our memories, by moments. Life is just a series of moments. Your business is recalled by events and moments. So did it ever occur to you that you are creating those moments? And if you don't do this, nothing will ever feel like a big deal. You will disregard any and every moment because your brain will tell you you don't deserve to make a big deal out of it. And that's another thing too. When you own your own business, every fucking thing is a big deal, you guys. This is something my clients struggle with as well, believing that they can take up space with their accomplishments, believing that they are a big deal. Guys, if we aren't thinking that we're a big deal and that our work changes fucking lives, what the hell are we even doing? How do we even expect others to believe that we're the shit if we don't believe we're the shit? Like seriously, it's why I'm so obsessed with helping my clients do this inner work, because nothing compares to when they start doing the thing, accomplishing their goals, signing the clients, making the money, publishing articles, getting paid to speak, and it's all because they believe in themselves and they believe that they're capable. And it all comes down to purposely feeling those emotions of pride, accomplishment, worthiness, etc. And doing that as often as possible as you are grounding it into your body and into your cells, making it a part of your programming and making it a subconscious response. So it becomes a natural part of your life. So celebrating yourself and recognizing yourself and feeling worthy is just automatic. So when I say celebrate everything, I mean everything. One thing I do, as you guys have heard me talk about, is keep an accomplishment journal where I write down all my wins from the day or the week, if I forget to do it daily, from signing clients to hearing a client say how happy they are, to writing entire podcast episodes, to feeling really good after posting a reel. It all matters. I also started doing voice recording. So, in the mastermind that I'm in, one of the coaches who is in there as well, she actually talked about bottling your confidence. And what she does is after a really good coaching call or after she experiences some type of any kind of win in her coaching business, she goes to her voice memos and she records it. She says how proud she is of herself and how much she did and all this stuff. And she really tries to capture that excitement and that pride and that celebration so she can listen to it back and remember what it felt like. So good, right? I also have celebration rituals. Like I go out for dinner or I go and get a fancy Starbucks drink. I even just sometimes sit and put on a timer and soak up the feelings of accomplishment and pride. And I usually cry when I do this. I actually have a podcast episode where I talk about feeling proud of yourself and how transformative that is. So you can actually scroll down to find that episode. It is a really good one. But essentially, I just want you to notice where you can celebrate yourself more. And if you have nothing to celebrate ever, it's not that you don't. It's that you don't believe what you're doing is worthy of being celebrated. It's because you're waiting for something to celebrate and thinking that's going to be the big thing. But the big thing probably won't feel that big of a deal either, right? We really have to code this stuff into our bodies. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be a couple seconds of you soaking in your worthiness and pride for yourself before you carry on with your day. The point of this is to embed success into yourself, into your subconscious, into your everyday life, making moments in your business that you'll look back on and be proud of. And what you focus on expands. The more you notice what is going right in your business and in your life, the more of it you will find. So, my love, how will you celebrate today? How will you teach your brain and your body that everything you are and everything you'll do is enough? I would love to work with you to reprogram your mind for success, overcome imposter syndrome, self-doubt, and fear so you can accomplish the goals that you have for yourself. So you can apply to work with me at the link in my show notes. We can work together in my 2-session intensives or in private coaching. I love y'all. See you next week.
Thanks for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to find out how you can take this work deeper with me in one-to-one coaching or in the From Imposter to Empowered group program. In the show notes, you'll also find a free 3-day challenge to start the process of overcoming your inner imposter. And once you're done with all of that, screenshot this episode and share it on Instagram, tagging me at YourCoachJill so we can connect. See you next time.